Welcome back, first graders. We are finishing up Annie and Snowball and the Teacup Club. So when you are reading a chapter book, you want to think about, how do the chapters in the story connect? How are all the parts fitting together to make the story? So if we do some reviewing, we had chapter 1, Teacups. In this chapter we learned about Annie, how she likes frilly things, she's very girly, and her favorite things are teacups. And she wished she had some teacup friends. In the second chapter, Henry's Idea, is where Henry comes up with the idea to have Annie come up with a teacup club. So they work together on that idea. In chapter 3, we have Dainty Friends. So in this chapter, we should see the problem resolved. So we met Annie in the first chapter, figured out the problem. Second chapter, they came up with an idea or a solution. And in the last chapter, we should see how the story ends and how the solution works for them. So if we go to the last chapter, Dainty Friends. 7 little girls called Annie, and they all loved teacups too. Annie was very excited. She asked her father to help make club plans. Annie and her father invited all of the teacup girls to tea on Saturday afternoon. Annie's father bought some nice cinnamon spice tea. He helped Annie make some sugar cookies. Henry and Mudge stopped by to make sure they tasted okay. And Annie bought her very best teacups for the club. Later, all 7 girls arrived looking like angels. They wore flowers and bows and lace and shiny, bright shoes. Henry saw them from his front porch. "They all look like Annie," he told Mudge. Mudge wagged. Mudge loved Annie. The Teacup Club had a wonderful time. Some of the mothers stayed to help. Annie was proud that her dad was such a good mother too. The tea was spicy, the cookies were sugary, and the talk was all very dainty. The Teacup Club promised to meet once a month at Annie's house. Everyone was excited. After the girls went home, Annie went to Henry's house to tell him all about it. Snowball sat on Mudge's head. "Clubs are fun," said Annie. "I know," said Henry, "especially ones with sugar cookies." Mudge gave Annie a big kiss. "And maybe some drool," said Henry. Annie laughed and hugged Mudge. She liked Dainty Friends, but she would always love her drooly friends more. So if we think about how the story fit together, our first chapter introduced our characters and the problem. Our second chapter, they came up with a solution, and in the third chapter, we learned to see if that solution worked or not. So when you're reading a chapter book, you want to think about, how do all the chapters fit together in the story? And sometimes when we read a chapter book, we can also learn a lesson. So I want you to think, what did Annie learn in this story? Well, Annie might have learned that when you have a problem, you try to come up with a solution. She might also have learned that you can still be friends with people that are different from you. So she liked her teacup friends, but she will always love her drooly friends more. So it's okay to have more than one group of friends. She has her teacup friends, but she still has Henry and Mudge too, who are very different. but it's okay to have some friends who are different. And it's okay to have more than one friend. So there's a couple different things that Annie might have learned in this story. Okay, well, hopefully you enjoyed Annie and Snowball. We learned some new characters connected to Henry and Mudge. And come back next time for a new story.